Namaste, Namaskar. Welcome to National Level 1 Archery Coaches Workshop Training, Examination and Certification organized by the Archery Association of India, AAI, Coaches Committee and supported by OGQ Olympic Gold Quest. The most exclusive, expansive, detailed hands-on training assessment and certification program in India. In this lecture, we will learn about 1. Finding the limb centers. 2. Centering the arrow. 3. Alignment of the bow sight pin. 4. Setting the clickers. 5. Setting the cushion plunger. 6. Setting initial bracing height. First, let's start with finding the limb centers. In order to have a reference point from which to adjust the arrow's left-right position on the bow, it is necessary to find the mark the exact center of the limbs on your recurve bow. During the whole setup process, the bow should be mounted on a bow vise. A bow vise is a contraption that holds the bow firmly in any position so that the limbs do not touch anything, since this could distort the fragile limbs. An elaborate vise is commercially available, but a simple tool can be made of wood to accomplish this. The wooden vise can be set to hold the bow either vertically for limb arrow alignment or horizontally for serving the string. To find the limb center for a recurve bow, you place a piece of masking tape across the inside of each limb near the limb pockets. Measure the width of each limb and make a small vertical mark on the tape in the exact center of each limb, about 15 centimeters, 6 inches from the limb pockets of the riser. Be very accurate when doing this and measure several times to know you have located the exact center of each limb. This mark will be used for arrow centering. It may be easier to see if the string is centralized if 2 lines are marked on the limb instead of 1, which are 3 millimeters apart. With 1 line, this line could be hidden behind the string when alignment is being checked. More conveniently, use commercially available limb line gauges available from most good archery shops. We will be demonstrating this in the practicals in the sessions at the venue of your archery workshop that you're going to come down for. After you mark the limb centers on the tape or install the limb line gauges, stand back and attempt to sight align the string with the 2 marks. If you cannot do this, you will need to either average the alignment, or if your bow has the capability of adjusting limb alignment, do so. This is most easily accomplished by placing 1 marked tape where the limb comes out of the riser and 1 tape 15 centimeters 6 inch from the bow tip on both the limbs, or use specific gauges. You can then check the alignment of the 4 marks to assess if the limbs are properly aligned. Stand back and sight through the string to see if it covers all the 4 marks. If not, make limb adjustments as required. Some bows may have a slightly bent riser or crooked limbs. In this case, the string will not perfectly bisect the center of both the limbs at the same time. You will need to compensate or average the string position for the slight imbalance. This does not mean the bow will not shoot accurately. It simply means you need to compensate for the situation. Next, centering the arrow, adjusting the arrow's left-right position. The objective of arrow centering is to have the arrow leave the bow in the same vertical plane as the average string force moves. To accomplish this, The archer should stand behind the bow, which is held in a vertical position, and sight forward through the string, which is aligned with the bow center line. See, for proper arrow centering, the arrow should be moved in or out from the bow so that the point appears just to the left of the string. For bows equipped with a cushion plunger, this can be accomplished by turning it in or out. You can turn it in or out. Bows without a cushion plunger can be built out from the bow face if the arrow must be moved to the left. However, if the point is already outside of the string, it is impossible to move the point further right because of the riser. Next, alignment or aligning the bow sight pin. Set the sighter pin or aperture of your bow sight directly over the string when it is aligned down to the center of the bow. The one object of the tuning process which follows is to select the correct arrow and bow adjustment so that the arrow is aimed and moves forward in the force plane of the moving bowstring as the arrow is shot. You will notice a number of archers whose sight is either outside or inside the string. This is because they have tuned the bows to an improper initial arrow alignment or are using arrows either too stiff or too weak for their setup. Now next, how to set the clicker, setting the clickers. There are several things to be aware of when using a clicker. Be sure that the arrow is well supported on the rest and not held in place only by the tension of the clicker. Draw the bow a few times without the clicker to make sure the arrow can be drawn and let down without the arrow falling off the arrow rest. The clicker tension and angle are important too. The clicker should not be so stiff that it actually moves the cushion plunger in or places a downward pressure on the arrow. To test this, stand in front of a target and draw the arrow through the clicker as if you are going to shoot, but do not shoot the arrow. Rather, watch only the arrow on the rest to detect any movement of the arrow at the moment the arrow is pulled through the clicker and the clicker makes contact with the riser. If there is any movement of the arrow, either a bounce on the arrow rest or the arrow moves out due to the cushion plunger's activation, you need to correct this. There must not be any observable movement of the arrow when the clicker is activated. Now next, setting the cushion plunger pressure. If the bow is equipped with a cushion plunger, set the cushion plunger tension to 40% of the tension of the lightest spring. The setting will change later on the tuning process. If you don't use a cushion plunger, your tuning adjustments are going to be far more limited in the tuning process. Next, setting initial brace height. Start with the brace height at the lower end of the manufacturer's recommendation range or use the following measurements. For a 64-inch bow, it should be 21 centimeters to 21.6 centimeters, your bracing height. For a 66 inches bow, the bracing height can be anywhere from 21.3 centimeters to 21.9 centimeters. For a bow which is 68 inches in length, the minimum bracing height will be 21.6 centimeters and the maximum bracing height can be 22.2 centimeters. For a 70-inch bow, the minimum bracing height can be 21.7 centimeters and the maximum bracing height can be 22.5 centimeters. The manufacturer recommended bracing height setting is only a guideline. Changing the brace height to a slightly higher or lower position can affect arrow flight and grouping. The proper setting for best arrow grouping performance will be determined later in the tuning section. Well, so much for this session. Let's revise. In this session, we saw finding the limb centers. Next, centering the arrow. Next, alignment of the bow sight pin or aperture. The next was setting the clickers, and then the setting of the cushion plunger, and finally setting the initial brace height before you start your tuning. Now let's see the 5 questions for which you need to seek answers in the lecture. The 5 questions are as follows. 1. What is a bow vise? 2. Where should the sighter pin position be when it is aligned with the string? Question number 3. Can an arrow be held in place with the tension of the clicker? Question number 4. What is the ideal plunger pressure when you start your tuning process? Question number 5. What must be the bracing height of a 68-inch bow? Listen to the lecture again and find the answer to the 5 questions in the lecture. Catch you soon with the next part of recurve bow tuning. Since the lecture is loaded with information, it will not get into our heads easily. If it does, we must be geniuses. Please listen to the lectures over and over again with our headphones on. This will truly help you understand what I have been saying. Keep repeating till you're thorough with it, till you have completely grasped it. Find the answer to the questions I asked and please send them to me on direct message on WhatsApp number 9841618386. The common mission for all of us is the same: to make India a motherland, Hindustan the ultimate in archery. Let's join hands towards this goal and chant Om Om Om. Olympic medal, nothing but the Olympic medal in archery. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram. Bye-bye. God bless all of you. Catch you soon.